Alright, we can actually make this, so... Great. Thanks for taking pretty much all of my money. I love it. I fucking love it. Alright, but at least all of our shit's going up. Alright, what is this? This one is like... Oh wait. Boss tracks the capital. Okay, so... Anywhere around here may give us stuff to do with Seren. And down here is Nazir, and up here is Aurelius, but... This is Aurelius, so I'm confused. Superstitious. Alright, well... I can't do everything, sadly. Alright. Let's have a look. Right, he needs... What does he need? I've kind of forgotten what I've been doing with him now. What was I making him do? I wasn't making him do this because Nazir's doing that one. I think I was making him do this one. Yes, I was. So we need water and darkness still. And the other thing, which is light. So one more light and darkness. Wait. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. Light, darkness, water is what we need for that one. And that one will be soon done. Again, I don't know why we'd need it, but I'm just going to do it anyway, just in case. And he needs darkness for what reason again? This? No, not this. Well, that feels like it'll be a pain. I don't know why I was making him do darkness, actually. Was it this one? No, that's what Aurelius is doing. Hey, wait. Was I making him do it for this? Yeah, I think I was. No, I wasn't. I'm so confused. Why was I making him do that? I didn't even know this page existed, so it had nothing to do with this. A personally woven and enchanted to be more durable. We've got one of these. Alright, I don't think I need to do anything else, and I'm really not sure why I started making him do darkness. Let me take a little gander at the guide. The one thing I don't care about is, like, going through the game and blind the first time. Sometimes I do care about it, but in games like this where like things aren't explicitly explained and not really even remotely explained, like I assume it's good to get the stats up of everything, including like the reputation stuff. But like, does it matter for the route you're on? Like, that's the thing I don't get, so I'm fine with doing the guide. Do we need anything upcoming? 70 intelligence. We have that. We have a lot, so we actually are completely fine for a really long time. So, I'm going to do etiquette. Because we are lacking in that, other than leadership, but I think etiquette would be a decent thing to start to work on for now. And I think we're good. So start. Okay. Nope. 3 is a no-no. Two is a no-no, I'm afraid. It's just not good enough. It is just not good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little pause now, so I will see you in a second. This will do. This will just have to do. 5, 6, 4, it's fine, right? So we're at week 29. I glance curiously around the tavern as I wait for the barkeeps to complete his inspection of the delivered items. With the sun setting on the horizon, the place is filling up at a rapid pace, people trickling in one after another at the end of a day of work. Merchants and labourers rub shoulders by the bar, and parties of friends sit by the tables drinking or eating, talking loudly. A bard strums his lute on top of the tiny stage, talking with the barmaid, who has just brought him a glass of red, perhaps freshly tapped from the barrel of fruit wine I brought. The aroma of freshly prepared food wafts my way, and I take a deep breath, feeling a stir in my stomach. That smells delicious. Perhaps it wouldn't be a terrible idea to stay and have an early dinner before heading back to the palace. After a day of hard work, I'd say I have earned it. As if on cue, the barkeep straightens to his full height from his low crouch, nodding at me in acknowledgement. Looks like everything is in order. Thank you very much for the quick delivery, Lady Rosencruz. It was my pleasure to help. He seems to have noticed what had drawn my attention, because he gestures at a maid rushing by us while holding 2 steaming plates, and he turns to me with a smile. Would you like to stay for a meal? I can give you a special offer as a token of our gratitude. I eye the variety of dishes being delivered by the bustling servers, finally giving in to the ravenous urge that's been building slowly but steadily. I'd very much appreciate that. The man's smile grows in satisfaction, his eyes squinting slightly. Please make yourself at home. One of the maids will attend to you as soon as possible. We exchange a few more pleasantries before he takes his leave to address other matters that require his attention. I sweep my gaze around the tavern once more, searching for an unoccupied table that I could take for myself. It is then that I notice a cloaked figure in the corner of the room, sitting alone at the table. Something about his posture and lean body strikes me as familiar, and I step closer. He happens to lift his head. His motion gives me more than enough time to catch a glimpse of the face half concealed by the shadows of the room. Seren? For a moment, I can only stare in disbelief, almost convinced that there's a problem with my eyesight. Yet on that second glance, I can only confirm my suspicion. It truly is Seren, despite the startlingly questionable hairstyle he's sporting and the unexpected wardrobe choice in the form of a giant cape around his shoulders. My lips twitch in amusement. I'm far too used to Seren's impeccable, dignified appearance with hardly a hair out of place. This sight of him comes as no small shock, and I find myself oddly charmed by this uncharacteristic image of the Crown Prince. Is this his method of disguising himself? If so, then I must say that someone needs to have a word with the prince and impart some wisdom on the ways of deception. Perhaps Nazir, who likely has much more experience with such matters. I watch Seren's head turn from side to side as he seems to survey his surroundings. He leans forward in his seat, the drink in his hand forgotten, with an expression of concentration etched onto his face. What is he doing? I follow Seren's gaze, but I find nothing of particular interest. Curiosity wells up inside me, and I consider approaching him to ask. My line of sight is cut off by an elderly lady walking right past me. I come to the belated realization that I've been hovering suspiciously in between the rows of tables, garnering strange looks from those around. Blushing slightly from the embarrassment, I slide into the chair at a nearby empty table with haste. A few moments later, a tavern maid comes up to me with a warm smile. Good evening, miss. How may I help you? I order my meal without much deliberation, to which the maid nods attentively. Yes, miss. Will that be all? I hesitate, my eyes shifting towards Seren's figure again. Curiosity finally gets the better of me, and I can't resist the urge to question the prince about his unlikely presence at the tavern. One more thing. Do you see that gentleman over there in the corner? Would you please bring him a drink on my behalf and ask him to join my table if he doesn't mind? I point to Seren discreetly. The maid looks in his direction before turning her back to me with a knowing twinkle in her eyes. Yes, miss. He is quite handsome, isn't he? Excuse me? It takes me a second to understand what she thought my intentions are, and I find myself flushing at her insinuation. No, it's not like that. She giggles, covering her mouth with a dainty hand, and then she gives me a friendly wink. Don't be shy, I completely understand. It's not every day such a good-looking, distinguished gentleman walks in. Not to worry, I'll get your drink to him, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy to join such a lovely lady as you. She flounces away before I could get another word in to correct her misunderstanding. I sigh to myself, willing the heat in my cheeks to subside. A few minutes later, I see the maid moving up to Seren's corner with a drink in hand. She sets the drink down on the table, drawing the attention of a surprised Seren. Then she bends over and says something to him that I can't make out, but I can guess that she's passing on my message because Seren's eyes fly to mine immediately. Upon seeing me, shock crosses his face and I send him a cheeky smile. So funny. A shade of pink tints his cheeks as he slips out of his seat and starts striding across the tavern towards me. He soon settles into the chair across the table from mine, wearing a sheepish expression and casting his gaze downwards as though too abashed to meet my eyes. Good evening, Valkii. I didn't expect to find you here. Neither did I, Your Highness. I put emphasis on his royal address, though I'm careful to keep my voice low so as not to be overheard by other patrons of the tavern. I must admit, I almost couldn't believe my eyes, especially given the outstanding guise. He hears the teasing tone underlying my words and lets out a low chuckle, reaching up to touch his hair with a hint of self-consciousness. I gave it my best attempt. I suppose it must not have been enough if you were able to recognize me. I commend your efforts, but I must ask, for what purpose, Your Highness? I thought it would be a good idea to mingle with my people for an honest observation of how my subjects are faring. I wouldn't want to be a neglectful ruler and be oblivious to their needs. He gives a slight shake of his head, a rueful smile touching his lips. Once again, I feel like I've been doing a poor job so far. A very noble objective indeed, Your Highness, though I have to agree with your doubts about the execution. Sitting alone in a corner does not seem to align with what you're setting out to achieve here. That is, unless you have a superior sense of hearing that I'm not aware of, which allows you to overhear conversations from afar. I flash him a smile in amusement, which he returns. Sorry, I moved in my seat. Now I'm moving my mic. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, I do not. You are most likely accurate in saying I may have gone about this the wrong way, but... His voice trails off into a sigh, his face darkening with a faint shadow of disappointment. I'm not quite used to this, I suppose. Well, I know how to remedy this problem. You shall be staying with me at this table for the rest of the evening. With our prime location, I guarantee you'll learn more about your subjects than you know what to do with by the end of this day. I would hate to impose. I'm sure you came out here for a peaceful evening of your own. I wouldn't make such an offer if I thought you were imposing, Your Highness, nor invite you over to my table in the first place. In fact, I would be most grateful for your company during this meal. After all, not many can say they have the honor of dining at a tavern with the Crown Prince of Eskia. He chuckles and indicates his agreement with a nod of his head. Very well, thank you for bearing with me, Valkii. He finally settles fully into the chair, leaning back and shifting into a more comfortable position as he gets ready for an extended stay. The evening passes in a pleasant whirl. The dishes prove to taste as good as they smell, and I can't help but find the dinner particularly enjoyable with the engaging conversation being carried out between the two of us. Your Highness, there's a burning question that I can withhold no longer. Yes? You must enlighten me. How did you manage to sneak out of the palace? Where have your personal guards gone? Ah, about that. Seren sets down his fork, hesitating before giving his answer. I used wood magic, so it wasn't too difficult to lose my personal guards in the city. He averts his gaze, as if slightly ashamed to have used the magic I taught him for something that might as well be counted as a prank. Remarkable. I never realized you were capable of such stealth, Your Highness. You flatter me. If I were truly stealthy, we would not be sitting here dining together right now. We share a chuckle before letting the small talk halt as we return our attention to our meals. As our table is situated near the center of the establishment, all sorts of exchanges around us easily reach our ears. Often, Seren would suddenly pause in his speech, tilting his head with his ears perked when he catches a particularly interesting topic. Although none of the chatter is anything of significance, Seren seems to revel in listening to them, his eyes growing bright with both delight and wonder. He must enjoy being away from the palace more than he usually lets on. I take in this visible change in the prince, slightly bemused, but I keep any comments to myself. Even when it's time for us to leave before it gets too late, Seren's reluctance is blatant, though he hides it rather quickly with his usual gentle smile. Eventually, we make it back to the palace. Seren thanks me for the evening, and we part ways after bidding each other a good night. Bless his little embarrassed heart. Alright, we don't really have anything else to do. But I am getting my etiquette up if it's the last thing I do. How's your wood going, buddy? How much did you need again? For these? 110. I don't think you have enough wind. No, you don't. Not yet, but you will. Right, so you have enough light now, so you don't need that. But what about darkness? You know what? I can't remember what you needed. You needed 110 darkness, 50 light, and then water. So you have 50 light, you have 105 darkness, and then the water, yeah, you will probably get enough with the 2 darkness. Why am I making you do darkness? I cannot remember for the life of me. Oh, whatever, I guess it is what it is. Time for save scumming. 6? 6? 5? Wow, we didn't even have to save scum that time. Oh, look at him. 6, 6. 5. Well, these are ones he's good at, isn't it? So, new missions are available. Cool. You are lucky I found another supplier of cloth for my tapestries. I suppose thanks to them, not all was lost. Midway to my morning lessons, I find myself caught by Lady Ceridwen. Though I suppose it's more apt to say that she's trapped me. She has no handmaiden and I have no Raphael. I try to say as little as possible, lest I lose my temper and let 1 or 2 insulting remarks slip, but that only allows her to speak more. Not that any of that should alleviate your guilt, of course. I nod tersely, not trusting myself to answer. She seems happy with my silence. You understand, of course, why it is so important for every aspect of the post-hunt festivals to be perfect. Especially every one of my aspects. She looks at me expectantly. It's only then that I start to remember. The hair conditioner. It's one of the stranger requests Raphael has ever given me. Thankfully, the bottle is so small and so valuable, I've taken to carrying it in my pocket. A little something for your hair, Lady Ceridwen. As I present the bottle to her, I cannot help but feel a little amused at the situation. Before Raphael's request, I hadn't even imagined one could enchant conditioner. Despite Ceridwen's surprise, her hands quickly close around the small vial, and then her eyes narrow. How can I be sure it works? I smirk, then tug at the ornaments holding my hair in place and shake it out. She gasps involuntarily when the sunlight catches it. Well, well, the mane of the unicorn is well kept, I see. Very good. She quickly wipes the almost excited smile from her face and straightens up. Don't let it get to your head. Until next time, royal tutor. With that, she turns on her heels and leaves, her head held so high and regal that one might mistake her for a visiting queen. A long sigh escapes me when Ceridwen finally disappears down the corridor. Even still, I can't help but be more than a little annoyed. I hadn't planned on entertaining Eskian nobles first thing in the morning. The head of House Natharia? I'm impressed. I jump at the sound of Prince Aurelius's voice. Somehow he managed to sneak up on me. Granted, I guess that's not exactly hard to do right now. I turn and bow. He nods in return, a book under his arm. I feel my cheeks redden a bit when I remember my loose hair. I can see Prince Aurelius's eyes flicker to it, but he makes no further comment. As I speak, I take a moment to tie it back up. Your Highness. Only then does what he said register properly. Wait, she is the head of her house? Since our last encounter, I've done some research. House Nathaira is indeed one of the richest, most powerful houses in all of Eskia, but for some reason lower in rank than one would expect. Yes, a remarkable woman, able to hold on to her power despite her age and her gender. But why is House Natharia only a barony? Why not make her Countess Natharia, for example? I'm so surprised by the reveal that I speak out of turn. Thankfully, Prince Aurelius doesn't seem to mind. Ah, they should be. The late king, at least, wanted them to be. However, the old head of their house declined and Lady Ceridwen did the same. I suppose she wants them to be a dukedom. Are they not powerful enough for that title? I suppose they are. I can't imagine what sort of requests Duchess Natharia would ask of me, so it might be good for her to remain in her current rank. We stand in silence for a moment. Prince Aurelius doesn't continue, and I'm sure he has his reasons. See you at the lesson, Rosencruz. Oh, yes, of course. Following Prince Aurelius, I can't help but wonder why Lady Ceridwen refused to rise in rank. My instincts tell me it's pride. Unless her family can hold the highest title below the royal family, she probably doesn't care much. Speaking of which, why are there no dukes and duchesses in Eskia with the exception of House Kronos? I decide to stop by the classroom earlier than usual this morning to set up the equipment for a practical demonstration. That's when I hear most unusual noises. But dash it, I haven't the foggiest what any of that meant. Concentrate, Nazir, please. My dear brother, can't you see that if I concentrated any harder, my head would explode and splatter brain matter over this lovely classroom? I can scarcely believe it. Has Nazir decided to appear to class early and is actually applying himself to his studies? You will need all that brain matter for the test next week, so I do not suggest you splatter them about. Now let us go over this passage once more. There comes a groan of agony, followed by a sigh so steeped in despair it can make the stoniest heart tremble and crack. I recognize that sound well. It is the sound of Nazir made to study. Good morning, your highnesses. I called cheerily as I entered the class. Valkii, good morning. I hurt, I am in torment, I suffer. Fighting back the urge to smile, I dump the equipment on the lectern and walk over to the two princes. They are sitting side by side, poring over a textbook on the properties of wood magic. Notebooks, worksheets, and diagrams are scattered haphazardly over the table. Something the matter, Nazir? Mutely, Nazir lifts up the textbook. Don't understand a word in this thing, my dear Valkii. Nazir has been having trouble with the last few lectures on wood magic. Since that's my magical affinity, he and I decided to come to class before lessons today to figure out why he's having difficulties. It turns out I'm having difficulties with the whole darn subject. That's not surprising. I sit on the chair next to Nazir, smiling to take away the sting from my words. Wood magic is the natural counterpart to your wind magic. Wind magic can be thought of as everything wood magic lacks, whereas wood magic is everything wind magic lacks. Why should I have to learn it then? My elements are fire and wind. Shouldn't it be enough for me to master these two elements and forget everything else? Most mages do so, but it is not the program of study I have set for your highnesses. Why not? Do enlighten, dear Valkii. I am teaching you not only magic, but also the art of alchemy. To be an alchemist, you must understand and manipulate ingredients from all elements of magic in their crafts, not merely your own affinities. Yes, I think I see. Magic is useful on its own, and yet I've benefited from alchemical items made using elements other than wood and light in my missions. Can't argue with that, I suppose. Nazir concedes a little ruefully. Now, let's go over this passage again. Therefore, the essence of wood magic lies within all physical forms rooted by nature to the life-giving earth we too stand upon. Though it was not easy, Seren and I eventually instilled some understanding of wood magic in Nazir's head. Seren especially has outdone himself with a neat analogy that relates a crucial characteristic of wood magic to Nazir's fire affinity. Nice! To begin with, Nazir's understanding wasn't all that lacking, so he caught on eventually. Oh, so it's like that, Nazir declares after Seren made the comparison, bumping his fist on the table. After that epiphany, his understanding of wood magic increased by leaps and bounds. Even Seren acquired a better understanding of fire magic. Before long, we had covered the majority of the lecture notes. Nazir expresses confidence in his ability to work through the remainder later on his own. I even had a few minutes left over to set up the alchemical equipment for the morning's lesson, which, thanks to Seren's help, I finished in the nick of time. You know, Valkii, Seren says with an amused sideways glance to me while we put the last finishing touches to the contraption. You're the first tutor to have somehow motivated Nazir enough to want to come to class early to study. Not an easy feat, I assume? I suppose not. Before today, I would not have believed anyone capable of it. He pats me lightly on the back, just as Aurelia enters the classroom. It has been a while since Nazir asked me for help of an educational nature. I wanted to thank you. Keep up the good work, Royal Tutor. I nod, and with that, lessons for the day commence. Sweet. Where are we in the guide? I have forgotten. We are at week 30. Alright, so... okay. I don't know which one we did there. Probably Nazir's wood and Seren's wood. Okay, my other monitor has, like, the colours are really off on it. So, these colours, I think, are indicative of the route you're on. But I can't tell which one is which. I think we just did Nazir's wood and Seren's wood skill, so Nazir needed 40 wood and Seren needed 100 for that to be able to pass, and we did that, so that's good. Right, how's our etiquette coming along? Could be better. But we're gonna persevere. Again, I don't know why I'm doing this. What should I do for him? Should I do... fire? I don't know. Yeah, let's do fire. How is your wood coming along? Alright, your wood's coming along really well. Wait, what did he need again? 110, 110. Alright, so yeah, that's still coming along. Yay, 13 approval. We're just never gonna have enough money for anything. It's always gonna be a struggle, I can feel it. We're probably gonna get like a commoner one soon. Right, what are our new missions? Okay. Why do none of these include Seren? At least not in the title. Like, I don't see it at all. Look, bro, Prince Aurelius. These ones are Nazir. 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 I'm very confused, but either way, we are doing this. I think everything is fine. Yes. Wait, what are we doing for Aurelius? God, I'm so frazzled. This, because I feel like we'll need this eventually. So you need 110. Okay, so we're still working on that a little bit. Alright, save scumming time. Start. Oh, already a losing game. Start. 4, 3. Just had to go down, didn't you? Just had to go down. Oops. Oops, I closed the game. 2. Alright, well, I will pause and see you when I'm done.